Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm certainly grateful to the chairman today for the first time. This committee is holding a hearing that gives us the opportunity to focus on white supremacist violence, a form of terror that is older than our nation itself. Since September 11, 2001, this committee has held more than 50 hearings focused on terrorism. We have been and we remain rightly focused on the threat posed by foreign terrorists and their homegrown imitators. Unfortunately, over that time, we have not adequately grappled with white supremacist violence. Over the last decade, it has become by far the deadliest form of domestic violence that we face. Its trademark racist rhetoric and dehumanizing language has embedded itself in our public discourse, and it is amplified around the world at the speed of light via social media platforms. In Charleston, the shooter who took the lives of 9 African-American churchgoers as they gathered in prayer had self-radicalized online and regularly espoused racist rhetoric on his own website. The terrorist who ran down a crowd of peaceful protesters in Charlottesville drove hundreds of miles to join in the largest, most violent gathering of white supremacists in decades. The extremist who murdered 11 worshipers at the Tree of Life Synagogue, the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in our nation's history, regularly posted anti-immigrant and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories on white supremacist online platforms. A white supremacist in Southern California was inspired by the horrific Christchurch mosque attack, which was live-streamed and shared virally, and the Tree of Life massacre. He failed in his attempt to burn down a mosque, but succeeded in shooting up a synagogue, killing 1 and injuring 3, including the rabbi. The perpetrator in El Paso, who killed 22 people and wounded dozens more in the deadliest attack on the Latino community in our nation's history, also cited the Christchurch attack and spewed familiar hateful rhetoric about a Hispanic invasion in a manifesto that he posted online. White supremacy is a homeland security threat. That's why Chairman Johnson and I have launched one of the first bipartisan efforts in Congress to address it. In May, we asked the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the Department of Justice this question: how many Americans have been killed or injured in domestic terrorist attacks since 2009, broken out by ideology? It took DHS 2 months to tell us they didn't know. After 4 months, the FBI and Justice Department have simply failed to respond. Last week, in response to our pressure, DHS finally released a policy paper acknowledging the growing white supremacist threat. But we cannot effectively address a threat that we cannot measure. We need data to track and assess this rapidly evolving threat so that we can ensure that our resources are aligned with the threats that we face. Today, we will have a discussion about a path forward. We need to confront the scourge of domestic terrorism, and any solutions we consider must be based on facts and sound data. But even the most well-intentioned policies can have harmful, unintended consequences. Looking back on our response to September 11th, I am acutely aware of how our policies were wrongfully used to cast suspicion on entire communities, primarily Arab American and Muslim Americans, including vibrant patriotic communities that I am blessed to represent in Michigan. As we work to tackle the threat posed by domestic terrorism and white supremacist violence, we cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. I hope that today's hearing will be an important step towards meaningfully addressing the growing threat of white supremacist violence. We must be clear-eyed about the challenges that we face, focus our resources according to accurate threat assessment, and make sure that all Americans feel safe where they live, where they work, and where they pray. Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to add that I've heard from countless stakeholders in Michigan and nationwide who care deeply about our efforts today, and I've received statements from the ACLU, Professor Shireen Sinar of Stanford Law School, the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services, the Muslim Public Affairs Council, and the Leadership Council on Civil and Human Rights, and I ask that they be entered into the record.